to say, right, I've done 300 over interviews. I have given, I think, 6 definite hires. People who are like so good, I like, okay, definite hires, 6 people. I remember, I think all of them, pretty much their names and what they did during the case. I had an amazing day in Harvard where 2 back-to-back definite hires. So me and my fellow interviewer, we spent 10 minutes like sort of going, oh my God, this is like the best interview day ever. So those are kind of the memorable good people. They're also memorable bad people. So I'm going to share with you some of the people who definitely fall into the second category. So effectiveness and impact, right, is one of the things that we look for here is the kind of tenacity and resilience, right? And that is, being able to tell a story about how you were able to overcome adversity and still survive, right? Still carry on. I think one of the challenges that lots of people that join consulting have had straight A's all their lives. They've never had really that much adversity to deal with. So being able to articulate a story of effectiveness and impact is great. If I ask you about, what's the biggest challenge you've overcome, and all you can tell me is, oh, I was trying to organize, someone literally said this, right? I was trying to organize this international food festival for my club and society, and it was such a huge challenge. I'm like, okay, is there something else that you want to share? It's like, no, I want to talk about this. So, being able to articulate stories that show different aspects of your personality, very important. The second thing I wanted to talk about was, sometimes I've seen people with very good CVs, and when you ask them how this came about, what was your goal? How did you end up, going to Harvard or, interning at Google? At least again have a story for why those are the choices you've made, right? I literally had an interview with someone who was like, oh, why do you go to Harvard? Oh, my best friend was applying, so I thought I would apply. Okay, congratulations, you got in. Same thing with, oh, I see you intern at Google. And back in those days, Google is a very small company, and to intern at Google was very difficult, right? And again, it was like, oh yeah, I was walking past and I saw this booth and I just signed up. And it really made me question, does this person have a clear idea of what they want to do in life? It also made me feel a bit jealous that, okay, this person is so amazingly good that even without really putting in effort, they were getting amazing results. But, it kind of worried me that there wasn't a clear plan, right? So effectiveness and impact is also about having a clear plan of what you want to do with your life. Same thing, I've asked people what they're passionate about, and if you have difficulty articulating even one thing that you're passionate about, I worry if you have an inner life. You know what I'm saying? There are people who, in Singapore, will say they're the muggers, right? They study very hard, they get great results, but there's nothing to interact with, no humanity there behind it, right? So have something, think about what excites you, what motivates you, and focus on those stories when you're asked, what you're passionate about. So effectiveness and impact, I think, quite clear that if you have clear ideas around what you want to do, why you want to do it, if you have good stories around what you've done in the past and why you were able to overcome particular challenges, you would tend to do quite well in effectiveness and impact. The communication and presence. So a couple of interesting things, right? I mean, quite often people, or not quite often, sometimes people don't read the bio cards at all. And one guy I was interviewing in Cambridge, Massachusetts, so Harvard, MIT, and this guy just sauntered in and he was like, oh, what is your connection to Harvard? And to me, the honest answer is, I was rejected as an undergraduate. And then the guy was like, oops, I guess I shouldn't have asked that question. I mean, it says quite clearly in my bio card what university I went to, right? So it's a bit cavalier to saunter in and assume that I have some kind of association with your university, right? That was a big mistake to make. It used to say on my CV, on my bio card, long-suffering Liverpool fan. Well, for those of you who don't follow football, after 30 years, we finally won the title a month or so ago. So there was, I remember very distinctly, I was just talking to a good friend of mine who we used to interview together quite a lot. He's now at Pepsi. And we were in Chicago interviewing. And that was, I think, the day after our interviews finished, there was going to be a Man U Liverpool football match, right? And then there were a lot of people who were coming. And I mean, it's fine to banter a little bit. It's fine to say, oh, I see we have a common interest in football and there's a big game tomorrow. I don't really recommend going and sort of say, oh, we're going to smash you tomorrow, man. I was like, okay. I'm not sure that was the best way to build a relationship with me around football. And another sort of point is building that rapport. Eye contact, quite important. So if you don't make eye contact, you look very shifty, you look very insecure. The strangest eye contact issue I've ever had was I interviewed this girl, and the entire interview she was staring like 6 inches above my left shoulder. She did it to both me and my interview partner, right? So we were both kind of like comparing notes after, and we were like, did you sort of wonder what she was looking at? So I kept glancing behind because I was curious to know what she was looking at all. So like make eye contact with your interviewer. It's an essential part of connection, of building a relationship. It is a sign of confidence. Of course, don't. Now, okay, if you end up doing a video interview, the rules are a little bit different. Right? You are allowed to look away, and to be fair, I never know whether to look at the person's face in the thing or look at the camera. But maintain a suitable level of eye contact. Otherwise, you're going to turn the person off. Again, also don't be too arrogant, but also not too modest. So one point is that, I forgot to mention this in the effectiveness and impact. We ask you like, what was your contribution to the overall project, right? That's what I was saying earlier. And there are some people who struggle to articulate what I did. So that becomes a problem because I have difficulty sorting you from the team, your individual contribution. But the flip side are the people who just said, I did this, I did that, and claiming credit for what the team did. So when you think about how to tell your story, find a way to balance between, the team was doing this, my personal contribution was this part, and I think we came to a better outcome because of that, right? So be able to sort of articulate your contribution. In fact, I had a very funny interview, I think it was at LBS, and I think the guy had been sort of coached to say I instead of we. So he would say we, no, I. He did this 2 or 3 times. And then it also became quite awkward, right? It became quite obvious that he was following instructions to say I instead of we. So, do practice it so that it comes across natural. And the last thing is don't be arrogant, right? The funniest story is, where was this? Again, it was LBS. I was interviewing for the Nordics. And then this guy came in and he is like, he had worked at the Treasury, and we're like, oh, that's quite interesting. Why do you decide to work at the Treasury upon graduation? And then he's literally said, oh, the Treasury is the pinnacle of the economics profession. And I was, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wow, seriously, that's not the kind of person that we want to work with. And to seal the deal, the guy, my interview partner who had to send him the rejection letter, rejection email, or did a rejection call, said, oh, guys, you will never believe what he said. But he said, oh, this is a terrible loss for you, for the firm. So it confirmed our diagnosis that this person would never fit in the company because totally different mindset, shall we say. So, there are lots of things to think about. So my points here are, don't just prepare for the case, prepare for the fit portion as well, right? So spend time thinking through each of the points in your CV and how you would tackle questions on them. And drilling questions, right? So not just the superficial, oh, what did you do, why, but what difference, why did you not choose something else? Would it have been, what the outcome would have been if you had done something else instead? All right, so expect to be drilled, number one. Number two, plan through your answers to questions like why consulting, why this firm, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time or 10 years' time? Consultants don't expect you to say, I'm going to devote my life to this firm. It's quite common for people to spend 2 to 4 years, get 1 to 2 promotions, and then move on to a different career. That's pretty much expected. So you don't have to say, oh, my life is to, I'm going to work here for the rest of my life. Right? That's not even fully your choice. So do prepare for those kinds of questions. Be very conscious of your communication style. So the basic things, like I said, building rapport, be quite conscious about being concise, being structured, right? It's fine to pause and think before you speak. We don't need people to instantly answer. You can buy time with, oh, that's a really interesting question, or let me sort of think about this a little bit more, and then come up with a more coherent, structured answer. That's better than quick answer, which is all over the place, right? And yeah, be yourself within professional boundaries. So be a confident, cheerful version of yourself, but not don't fake, right? So don't try to. I'm going to behave the way I imagine people in this firm want me to be, right? Because then you're going to have a difficult time actually working there for the next couple of years.